if you can get in front of somebody 5 times, you're so much more likely to sell them instead of getting in front of 3 times as many people.
You cannot grow where most people want to be with a weak brand.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the HVAC and Plumbing Hustle Podcast. And I've got Jonathan Bannister on today, and he has a very similarly named podcast, the Home Service Hustle Podcast. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Tim. Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on.
And I'm sorry you took that name from me. It was rightfully mine. Not really, but we're going to be talking about the power of membership programs and the limitations of marketing, because I know Jonathan and I want to do the best marketing services possible, but there are limitations, and we're going to talk through those today. But we're also going to dive deep on the power of memberships, and really that memberships are just an extension of your brand. All right, let's get into it, Jonathan.
Let's do it.
Because Jonathan and I were just talking about how sometimes home service business will say, I'm at $3 million and I want to go to 7. And there's certainly examples of companies that have done that. But it's not just one type of marketing or a few types of marketing that did that. And I would say that's on average, I don't know if that should be your goal, but the point is like a lot of times Jonathan was saying people bring a goal to him, a financial goal. He starts with that on his at his agency. I think that's super smart. And he says, okay, this is what we might need to spend on different platforms to get that amount, and maybe what else you should be doing too. And there's a spot where marketing isn't capable of past this amount. Like we are not magicians, right? You can't just double your revenue with just one type or a few types of marketing. And I think that it's trying to figure out, where's that line? What is that line, Jonathan, where an agency is capable of it? And I'm not just saying like yours or I's agency, but a decent agency in general. And where is the line where most agencies won't be able to do that for you? What does that line look like?
Well, I think it's also the market that the client is in as well plays a big factor, right? Because if you're in Dallas, like where I am, or you're in Los Angeles, or you're in Miami, like you've got the population and the possible demand when the demand's there to be able to reach some of those crazy ceilings. But you take middle of nowhere Arkansas right now and you go, I'm willing to spend $100,000 on AdWords. Like you're probably not going to be able to get anywhere close to that. It doesn't have the reach and capability to get the impression shares that you need to even spend that money. So that's when you got to get really creative on what you're going to be. What are the possibilities? I think more people go this way. In that case, like they're going to be through the whole state of Arkansas to be able to get to that $30 or $40 million number. And where other people may be able to go, like Billy Stevens, for instance. Like Billy Stevens here in my market, and we've become really good friends. And like what he's been able to do in 4 years with a brand new startup company here in Dallas is like crazy insane. And he believes as much as possible, keeping it as tight as he can from his office, like literally owning every contract, every house that he possibly can as close as he can. But they've done an extremely amazing job at that. And I think they have some 8,000 contracts in 4 years. And it's like, I've got clients that have 300 and 400 contracts and have been in business for 10 years. And I'm just sitting there going how is this possible? So, I think you got to start looking at what can you start doing internally as a business to help yourself before you just start relying on the marketing company for everything. And I think it starts with just educating yourself a little bit. You got to start knowing what are the possibilities and capabilities. But I think, Tim, what you and I experience is most people, they go, when you start the conversation, the sales process, well, hey man, cool. Like, what'd y'all do in revenue last year? Oh, we did 4 million. Cool. What is the goal? Oh, we want to do 8 million. They all have this perfectly round number. We did 3.2. We want to do 4.2. We did 4. We want to do 6. Like they just have this number that rolls off their tongue well, but they don't really have a clue what it's going to take to get there. And I'll tell you right now, if you're in the right market, you can spend the money, right? You can jack up AdWords and LSA as much as you can, or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. Like, you can spend it and get the leads, but what does that cost? What is it going to cost you? What is the acquisition cost going to be?
Yeah.
And do you really want to go that route? I will tell you, like, Billy Stevens doesn't want to spend $200,000 a month on marketing. Like, he would much rather have 20,000 contracts, and that's the people he wants to market to, because he knows that you generate so much more revenue. We know it's between 40 and 60 more, 40 to 60% more revenue from a person that is in a club membership or a contract with you than a
Mhm.
non-club member. So why wouldn't you put all your energy and attention on training and selling as many club memberships as you can? Training me in every house you touch, you train your team, whether it's the CSR, the person that goes in at home, or the manager on the follow-up call. Sell that damn person a club membership at whatever cost it is to you, because you're going to generate more money down the road from that person. Right. So that's kind of my thoughts there.
Yeah, that's really good. I love how you're talking about the tight market, Billy Stevens market, and how he's doing that. I think, especially when you've got so many competitors and they go so wide, and you said the four to. I was thinking about 4 to 6 because that was kind of what we were trying to do this year.
Okay.
Like, and we're adding what we're adding HVAC, and it's actually a misconception, right, for a lot of home service businesses where they think they have to add a neighboring city to like add another 2 million. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like going tight on one market and hammering it over and over and over again. I think sometimes we might refer to that as like the 5 times rule. Like if you can get in front of somebody 5 times, you're so much more likely to sell them, instead of getting in front of five, like 3 times as many people, like once or twice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like to me, that ability to get in front of people a lot is the beauty of doing a smaller space. But like not every home service business, not every HVAC or plumbing company is out here with unreasonable goals. Unreasonable, like, to me, going from 4 to 6 isn't that crazy in one year. It doesn't require some like crazy investment of capital. What are some other common misconceptions, like where somebody thinks marketing is capable of fixing that, or marketing is capable of that, where it's not actually, like marketing can only do so much?
So back to your 4 to 6 thing. I want to be clear there. I've got clients this year that'll go from 4 to 8. With the
Yeah.
right planning and the right budget, it's achievable. But
Mhm.
most people, when they just roll things off and go, yeah, 4 to 6, when you break down and show, look, what you did to get the 4, like, it's just not that easy, because a lot of that was going to be word of mouth, getting the business to 1 million, 2 million. There's a lot of word of mouth that's taking place there. So to get it to 4 to 6, it just takes a little bit more. It takes more on the marketing side, and it obviously takes more on the operation side as well. So to answer your question, what you just asked, I would say branding. You cannot grow where most people want to be with a weak brand. It's just, like, it's nearly impossible in my opinion, because you're going to be literally paying for every new customer. Like, you're going to be doing lead generation forever, and I just don't think, like, as what we're seeing right now, the state of the country and the economy, like, the acquisition costs getting higher and higher. Ticket the average tickets are going down because more and more people are wanting to throw a band-aid on the repair right now. They're not changing out the systems as much as they were.
Can I share a little? Like, I feel like honestly an expert in shit brands because roofing has all shit brands. It feels like there's like it is the exception to the rule. The roofing companies having a good brand, and you guys have the benefit of like great branding companies like Kick Charge and like all these. And I should stop saying you guys because we have like 7 clients and HVAC now. But the point is like there's a lot of shit brands, and it is true. Like we're talking about overpaying. Like you overpay for everything when you have bad brand or bad name, and sometimes bad name doesn't mean that the name is. It wouldn't be bad if there wasn't 5 of them Like
Yeah.
you look around the country and there's five of them, and
Right.
like Google gets confused.
Yeah.
Like Google is not like it. We like to think that they're so good at like parsing out entities and stuff like that. But when you have the same name as somebody, like it's five places all over the country, it's trying to figure out which one's which, and it literally like with less certainty in the algorithm, like it's honestly we've seen where it's harder to rank those companies.
I think we work with
Yeah,
3 fire and ices like in the
yeah,
so you're gonna see it in HVAC. It's like,
yeah.
wow, that
It's
wasn't
tough.
really creative. I mean,
Yeah, and I think ultimately just to know it is a lot of investment to rebrand, and I'm not telling everyone to do that. I think you should take that very, very, very seriously if you ever decide to do it. However, if you have an opportunity, I think I get scared of even talking about branding sometimes because you will see somebody who's maybe can't afford a 30, $40,000 rebrand, just like go YOLO money over there, which is kind of scary too. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to
well, no.
agree with you. Hey, it's brand, but it's also like unique name, and like watch that. Like try to, especially if you're early, try not to do a name where there's like 10 of them.
And so for me, I think branding more than anything, like I've learned a lot over between spending a lot of time with Dan Antonelli and Ryan Shute over at Wizard of Ads. Between the two of them, I've really tried to obsess over branding. Like we don't do branding, but I've wanted to learn because I was kind of naive, I think, Tim, that and
Mm-hmm.
I think more of it was probably an ego thing a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, my client came to me and said, oh, actually, I told Ryan Shute this the other day on a call, so I'll share it. And I said, Ryan, let me tell you, I remember when this client came to me and said, I'm going to join forces with Wizard of Ads. And at the same week, another client came to me and called me and said, I'm going to join Wizard of Ads. And there was this like, okay. And they're like, well, it's going to be expensive though, and they were going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, like from these campaigns of radio, TV, plus the magic branding side of what Wizard of Ads team brings to the table. And there was this part of me like, so, where's this money going to come from? Right. I mean, like we've got our budget where we're generating these leads and stuff for you, and we're doing these other things. And I remember asking one client, like, why would you do that? So you're going to spend $400,000 or $500,000 on TV and radio. That if you put a tracking number on, and I don't care what tracking device you put there, you're never going to be able to show an ROI from that. But whether you do Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, like whatever, LSA, like you can still say like, okay, I spent this is what I got back. That was my way of thinking a few years back. Um, and so now I clearly get it. Now I've seen firsthand the companies that have a strong brand and actually put an effort into their brand. And so I don't, look, the truck wraps are important, the name of
Yeah,
the company is important, but I just mean be present on a bigger scale and say this money is not for lead generation. Like, dude, I
yeah,
don't care if you just do Facebook and Instagram, branding only, impression share. Touch as many people with your logo
yeah,
or video as you possibly can and as
yeah,
many times as you can, and it will drive your marketing costs down. Your acquisition costs will go down, your conversion numbers will go up. It just happens. And so here's the analogy I give people. Think about it. If you are looking for a there's a you want to go get ice cream, right? You're looking for this certain ice cream place because you saw them run a special, an ad, a commercial, whatever it is. You saw it, but you can't remember the name of the company for anything. Well, then you go and you type in ice cream company or ice cream shop near me, and then that company's brand shows up. You see it wherever it is on the page. Like you're going to click there because that's the one that you were looking for.
yeah,
And obviously, in a more perfect world, the way you want it to work is they don't know you. They haven't used your plumbing company or your HVAC company before. But the way you want it to work is that they've seen your content so many times. You've touched them on TV, radio, a jingle, and whatever it did, it made them feel warm and fuzzy. It was funny. I don't care. Something. You've got to figure out who you are as a company. What is your brand and your image and, whatever that is. And then you need to then realize that when someone does need you, they go to Google and you want them searching for your company name. You don't want them putting in AC repair because there's a lot of competition on that page. I mean, there's 15, 20, without having to click see more buttons. Like there's so many more options now with LSA, and you got Google Maps and AdWords, and you don't know if it's going to be top of page or bottom. But at the end of the day, there's still 20 or more options. So why do you want to compete with all of that for AC repair or plumbing, plumber near me? You want to be the company that sticks out when they haven't used you yet, but they may need you. They're going to need you in the future.
And all the data that I can see is like when somebody has a good brand, Google likes brands, man.
They do.
Google likes brands. And I don't think it's opposed. Sometimes I think like Dan kind of positions it a little bit as like they're kind of like it's either this or that. You're either spending too much on Google or spending on brand. And I obviously would take issue with that. I think that Google really does want like you think about we think about click through rate, right? Mm-hmm. Click through rate just means it's attractive to the eye, and I click it. So like with Google Ads, you want your stuff to be fairly simple. You don't need to go that fancy. You're not trying to say that much. You're usually it's kind of nuts and bolts, and maybe that you offer financing or like little things like that, right? But with SEO and meta titles and descriptions, we changed the little tagline we use the keyword first, and then we change the tagline, and we're trying to increase the click-through rate. So you might make a big promise there. You might say something a little like almost like clickbaity to get the click. We want the click-through rate to be high.
Yep.
Brand is the ultimate click-through rate increaser, because if they've seen it before, like Jonathan's saying, then all your metrics go up. You make more money with less ad spend long term because of repetition, because the brain likes the familiar. You could have even been, I believe this, and I think actually Ryan Schutz's like ads sometimes prove this in respect, that you could even annoy them.
Oh, absolutely.
You can annoy them. There's shock advertising, and there's also like irritation advertising.
Where Eminem was a genius at that.
Yeah, exactly. And like people have mocked our jingle. We have a jingle on the beginning of our videos every single time. And people are like, is that supposed to be annoying? I'm like, it wasn't, but thanks. So sometimes it's unintentional irritation advertising. Yeah. But by the end of the day, when they like, I think actually I'm reading a bunch of copywriting books right now. I really like Joseph Sugarman, and he's a classic ad man, copywriting genius, really, really good. His books are rare, and so like I spent a little bit more money to grab some of them, but they're good. And he's talking about, he's like, he was in Hong Kong. He's a guy that like orders stuff, from Hong Kong and then sells it in America or whatever.
Yeah.
And he saw one of his suppliers there walking down the street, and he's like, normally I don't even like hang out with that guy. I wouldn't like be that close with him normally, but because I was in an unusual place and he was familiar, I said, hey, let's grab dinner tonight. And then we hung out, and I ended up actually ordering more stuff from him than I normally would. But that was because he was familiar in an unfamiliar place.
Yeah.
And at the very best, your brand can be a familiar comfort in an unfamiliar place.
So I'll tell you a little story. I got to see this firsthand. Big client of mine out in Southern California, and they work with Ryan Shute. And we, this was 2021, I think June. He calls and he says, I need you to back off the AdWords. Let's just turn it down. He's like, we're now at like 2 weeks booked out. We're going to hit our first $1 million month ever this year. Within a couple weeks, like going into July, Google hit us with a trademark violation on their account. They didn't suspend us, right? They kept accounts. We'd never had this happen before. They said your accounts aren't suspended, but you do have a trademark violation. You cannot advertise until this is resolved. Man, we kept submitting stuff. He got stuff in from his lawyers. Like he owned the trademark in the state of California. It got ugly, and so because Google was not working at full capacity for they're still not. But in 2021, they definitely weren't. So like you didn't have the people in the office. They just weren't getting back, and they weren't real speedy with things. We went several months where we couldn't have the name of his brand on any of the meta descriptions, right? So what we did is, and matter of fact, I just reached out to him recently. Said, "Dude, I have so many domains that I bought for you at one time. Like, let's see if they're worth anything because I need to get rid of them." But we went and bought like every city that he services in, and like bought like you know AC repair, AC replacement, that city, and all these weird things so that we could actually create. Now, on the landing page, we could have his brand on it, but we couldn't have it on the URL or the meta description. Everything tanked. The cost per acquisition went out of the insane from what it was before that. And we learned right then and there that someone may not be thinking of your company right off the bat, but if you've got a strong brand that's recognizable, that when they do put on AC repair near me and they see the list, if your brand is recognizable to them, then it's going to get more clicks. And so even though we had it coming up, let's say we had it coming up in the top page of Google on AdWords, and there was two placements. Theirs, which we had, Palmdale AC Company, right? Let's just say it was an example. And then there was a real brand like Arctic Air or something. Yeah. You take someone that doesn't know much, but they've heard of Arctic Air and they've never heard of Palmdale AC. Well, it's not a real company. So people, you've got to look at the buying patterns here and go, how much does the brand affect things? Because not your everyday person's walking around going like, yeah, man, that air conditioning company, man, I can't wait to use them. I've never used them before. They don't think that way. But what that is you've given them some kind of peace, or you've made them feel good somewhere at some point with some branding you've done that makes an impact on their buying decision when they do need you.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people can't hear it when we're preaching to them from like, hey, you as an AC company or whatever. But I'll talk about the way we do it too, is like, I really believe for us, the more marketing that we do that's just brand focused and not lead gen focused, the lower our cost of acquisition goes. And the more, so it's like tilling up the ground, you're like softening the ground. And then when you do lead gen, like you're saying, like when they see it on Google, it's like that's the seeds, popping up. But it's like, it's in a good soil, and the good soil is good brand and good relationship with the community. But like, I focus on that so much. Like, brand for me is, I also like it. You know what I like about brand? I like this about brand and SEO, to be honest with you. I like long-term stuff because I like to imagine, and the more long-term I think, the better everything gets for us, in my experience. The more long-term I think with my marketing, the more intense I get on like, I need leads next week. Like, let's just crank up the Facebook. And we do Facebook advertising for ourselves. Love it. Facebook is good. I think you should always be doing some, at least brand, right? But
I got stocks.
Yeah, I got to see. Oh yeah, stock. By the way, every time I say Google, also I have, but that one has done very well for me. That stock is good. But I will say that there's like this. The more longer term I think, the better everything gets with I've seen with my branding and my marketing. I can just say that from personal experience. The more tight now I need leads, like literally everything gets, and you also get bad leads and you get bottom feeders and tire kickers. The quicker you need
offering, because you're offering an offer or a price at that point, because you're going, our books are empty, our job board's empty, so drop it to a $9 tune-up or something. You're doing these extreme things to get calls booked, when I'm telling you, if the brand was stronger, one, you would
Yeah.
already have more customers that you would have converted into membership. So you're
Mhm.
going to be busier in the off season because in that shoulder season, you're going to have a bunch of tune ups and maintenance work that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
But then you've got more people to call if, you know, like to try to sell them on different services or opportunities and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think when you get into that freak out mode, like you're saying, you do make some bad decisions. And if your brand, so it's like a catch 22 because if your brand was strong, I don't think you'd have to do that. But
Yeah.
if you're go and do that and your brand's not strong, then it's gonna be
Overpay.
shitty leads and things like that. You're gonna overpay and it's gonna be tire kicker.
Also, sometimes you'll get focused on a number of leads or a number of opportunity, like real, and like obviously the ideal is we want less customers and more money. Like, I mean, really, right? I mean,
Yes.
in a certain way, like, and that is a tough thing to wrap your head around when we're feeling like we just like, oh man, we said we wanted to get this many this month and we're not hitting that number. It's like, well, are you hitting the revenue number and are you hitting the profit number? Because at the end of the day, the revenue and the profit number are going to be the most important. And the number of homes or, whatever, that's probably going to be less important. Like realistically, like it's okay to do more. It's okay to do revenue, not the right revenue goal and not hit the homeowner number or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's,
I don't know why they would want to pay attention to that because then it
yeah,
becomes an efficiency capacity.
yeah,
That's like, well, if are you being efficient with your guys' time and things like
yeah,
that? And then if your guys have more capacity, like if you're hitting revenue and you're hitting profits, then how much capacity is still left there? But if there is that capacity, then let's bring in more leads, but it's typically going
yeah,
to be spending more money, right? I mean, I think this is where you and I have talked about this offline that you really gotta you really got to understand who you are as a business owner and what you're actually trying to achieve. And I
mhm,
think if your marketing company is not pushing you on trying to understand some of those deeper numbers and KPIs and stuff of your business, like you need to ask why, because otherwise, in my opinion, they're just going to check off boxes. It's like we do this, and this, and guess what? We just did all these things for you. But like at the end of the day, that's not enough. Possibly, if demand's not there,
mhm,
or like there's a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, look, at the end
yeah,
of the day, like I want to know how the sales process works with my clients, and I want to know what close
yeah,
rates are with some, because then like
yeah,
like if they think 100% of leads are going to close, like that's not true. And I think no matter how strong some of the leads are, your team may be messing up some of the calls that are taking place, right? I mean, so I think you got to
yeah.
find that balance.
He does is he teaches the most valuable team in your business. He'll just add nothing but profit.
There's so much money left in the call center. So much money. If you're not at a 90% booking rate, showing empathy on the phone, smiling on the phone, making sure they're having a better day after they got off the phone with you, then you need to call Power Selling Pros and see Brigham.
I really enjoy being a noob to this industry. It's really refreshing because it's weird. Like in roofing now, even though I'm not a roofer, some people expect me to know basic stuff that's roofing. It's not marketing, but because I've been in it for five,
Yeah.
6 years, like been invisible, and like been doing content with some of the best experts in the industry. And so now, so I want to ask you a noob question.
Okay.
Um, I like when we're marketing, I like the idea of pushing into what's working and spending more money when the demand is high. And I think that there's the challenge, obviously, which with HVAC seems
Capacity.
to be that like the capacity you can't just like with roofing, you can subcontract and you could
Right.
literally sell as much as you could possibly sell,
Yep.
and then we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with that in your agency with knowing that the best time to spend money is when the money is working.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's positive to spend money when the money is working, right? But then you only have so many vans and like you don't want to overhire kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we dive deep into this for our clients, and sometimes like I call them out on their bullshit because they go, "Here's what we want to do in revenue, great, and you've got the staff, and you're good, yes, like we've definitely got the staff to do everything," and then I'll look at some of those peak months like June, July, August, September, and that's where 60% of the revenue is going to come from, and I go, okay, well, in June, according to these numbers, to hit that goal, you need 500 booked service calls and you need 56 installs. So let's walk through this. And then I'll go, how many, and sometimes I'll say it before we get to that number I give them. And I go, hey, how many calls do your guys run a day? Oh, they run 3 calls a day or 4 calls a day. Okay, great. And how many service techs do you have? We've got this amount. And then I'll just quickly do the math. Hey, do y'all do Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, Sunday? Oh, yeah, we're Monday through Friday. And I'll just do the quick math. And I'm like, you don't have the staff to do it right now. You don't have the capacity to hit this number, right? So it's like, but I want to figure some of those things out because a lot of people just think they know where they want to get to and they feel like they can just wing it to get there. But our approach, and I know the way that y'all look at things, it's like, we take it serious that if this is the goal that you're trying to get to, we want to be able to back that up and help them achieve that goal. So I'm not going to tell someone to spend, $30,000 on YouTube or $50,000 on Google because that's what the budget says to hit that number. And then you can't do the work anyways. And so I want to kind of just get that out of the way out the gate. So yeah, I mean, capacity is a big thing. I agree. It's much easier to bring in leads when it's 110 outside. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a fact, right? Or if you flip flop that and then you take Minnesota in the winter.
Yeah, you just wish you could just spend most of the money that, because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just knowing demand, like, God, riding demand while it's there. That's the toughest part, to not be able to do that here.
Yeah, if it was a product, like we were selling a product that was seasonal and we knew Halloween and Christmas was the time that, the only time this product's really going to sell. Well, yeah, like that's where you're going to put all of your marketing dollars and you're going to make sure that you've got inventory and you're going to pour as much gas on it and just sell as much as you can. That's where all your revenue is going to come from this year. And unfortunately, and look, I will tell you, Billy Stevens' model, and for anybody out there listening, please think about this. His approach is the more memberships I sell, the more techs that I get to go hire. So he's acquiring these technicians during the shoulder season when other people are laying people off because he's got so many maintenance contracts. So now he's in a position that come summertime, he can dump the marketing dollars in because he's got this crazy amount of staff because he knows that, guess what? When summer's over, they're still going to be busy because they're going to go and do these maintenance contracts. So there's a way to do it. And I just don't think a lot of people do it because guess what? Billy Stevens sells his club memberships for $99. And I have been educating my clients, Tim, over the last, probably year or so after spending time with Billy, going shaking my clients going, hey, how much are your club memberships? I was just with one of my clients in Atlanta, Georgia a couple months ago. And I said, hey, how many club memberships do you have? And he goes, oh, I've got 350 or something. And I'm like, okay, how much are your club memberships? And he was like, well, it's $249 for the first system, and then it's this for, and I was like, holy shit, I understand everything you're saying, and I'm confused, right? So a confused mind is never going to purchase anything from you. So why don't you simplify this? And I'm telling you, and I want to encourage the people out there that hear this, that 9 times out of 10, I will tell you, no matter what your club membership cost is right now, you're losing money no matter what. So you want to charge $400? When you break it all down, you're losing money on it. When you factor in tolls, when you factor in fuel costs, the note on that truck or van, the person going out there doing it, their insurance and things like that, and you go out there twice a year to that home, you're losing money. So pick what you're willing to lose. But for me, I would rather, if here's the conversation. And this is what I tell people, Tim. Let me ask you. All right, I know you were telling me on my podcast that your wife does bought y'all's AC system and handled that process. But let's run this through a scenario that I own a plumbing company, or let's do HVAC. All right, I own an HVAC company. You call me out because you're having an issue. Now you're having an issue. Your home's warm, and you're not wanting this to be super expensive. You just replaced the system a while back. I mean, like, you're hoping it's not going to be this major problem.
Yeah.
And I come out there and I tell you, hey, look, it's the capacitor, it's the contactor, whatever. Simple fix. It's going to be $400. You go, cool, man. Like, here's my credit card. At what point? Now, like, obviously, I think you might be in a different financial place than some other people around the country. But like, let's think about the average American right now that's like really paycheck to paycheck. And at what point in the sales process, they don't want to spend $400. They didn't want their fucking air conditioning system not to be cool in their home today.
Yeah.
But at what point do you go, well, hey, we've got this club membership here, and here's the information, and it's only, you've got 2 systems, so it'd only be $385 for you today. Well, I didn't want to pay the $400. So at what point do you sell me on the $385 or however much the club membership is going to be? I don't understand at any point with any company how that transaction, how you move forward with that. But when it's $99, you go, hey, hey, I've got an issue with my system today. Like, can you come out? Sure. How much is it going to be? Well, our trip fee is, I don't care if you charge $99, $79, $100, whatever your price is. But wouldn't it be nice if you said, so yeah, our trip fee is $99, and or let's call it $89. That's a lot of people's. Our trip fee is $89, but if you move forward with our club membership that we have, it's only $99, so it's only $10 more. Plus, we'll do your first cleaning today, and you get 10% off of all parts on anything you do. So either the CSR can sell that over the phone, or the technician does it on at the person's home. Now, think about that scenario. You go, hey, it's $400 today to fix your capacitor, Tim. But if you're a club member of ours, it's only $10 more for you because it was $89 for us to come out there, and you get 10% off. So that takes $40 off. So actually, you're saving $30 if you join our club membership. We're going to do our first clean today, and we'll come back out in the fall and do the one in the winter. How do you want to do that? And when you're looking at that on the iPad, and it's going $400 or $370, right? Because you're going to save $40 on the bill plus the $10. So who wants, and this is what Billy Stevens does on his software. It actually, on the Sarah software, it actually shows how much the price is, how much it is today if you're a club member, and it does this cool little slowed circle around the price. Who's not going to move forward with that, right? Like, so that's how these people are selling more and more club memberships. But that, I think, in my opinion, is you have to simplify things. You have to stop thinking that there's no way I can give that away for that price. It's like, go and truly price out all of your services. And I'm telling you right now, you're losing money if you charge $250 for a club membership. But how do you sell them at that price? As a homeowner, I don't want to pay $250 for that, but I'd be willing to pay $10 a month for that. Right. So that's $120 a year. And that's what a lot of people are doing. It's $8.99 or $9.99 a month. And we come out there twice a year to serve. Like, that's easy for people to wrap their brain around.
Yeah. You're just saving your place. You're saving your place in their mind. It's like I have a Costco membership, so I'm more likely to shop there.
Absolutely.
I think it kind of comes down to like just really understanding why you're doing it. You're not doing it. You're not doing it to make money. You're doing it. You're not doing it to make money on the membership, obviously. And I think just like
here's
being clear about that to yourself, like, because otherwise you get confused and you're like, that's why people go to that 250 number probably.
But think about it like this: a lot of people, because I used to ask this question, why would you spend that much on TV commercials with your local news station? Like if you put a number on it or a QR code or whatever, like you're never going to be able to track that return on investment. And I would see these crazy bills, like they were spending, $30,000-$40,000 a month on these, Fox news stations of their local market and stuff. And I would just go like, why? I get it now. I didn't get it back then, but I get it. So Tim, look, they're spending that money. Guess what? It will actually save them money down the road. Like their ad spend, their acquisition cost, everything will get better the stronger the brand is. Well, I think it's the same way with the club membership.
Yeah.
The more you have of them, the easier, like you don't have to spend as much money with Google or Facebook or TikTok or whatever if you had 20,000 club memberships, because that's the people you would market to. That would be your Facebook or that would be your lead generation. Like you would literally, it's like those are the people you would be sending emails and texts and phone calls to because they need you, right? I mean, they trust you. They know, like, and trust you. And so why wouldn't you want to have more of those? Like I know people right now that are willing to give them away because they understand for the first time, I feel like in a long time, they truly understand the value behind having a true like customer that is theirs. Instead of like, I think it used to be for, I think, acquisition of companies has been a huge topic, over the last several years. And I think it used to just look and sound really good to be acquired. Like that was what made your business so valuable, was having a large amount of club memberships. And there's a reason behind that, because these companies that are coming in and acquiring you, like they want to know that there's customers that they can start marketing to right out the gate. And now I think a lot of people get it confused with how many people do I have in my database versus how many people do I actually have paying me some kind of money that is quote unquote, theirs. Right. And so what you want is, you don't want people shopping around when it is time to get a new system. And, you want to make sure that they've been with you 3 or 4 years. I mean, look, there's some companies that do like buybacks. I think is pretty smart. I've got a couple clients that do it. And so like the buybacks, what they do is they say, hey, listen, our club membership is, $150 a year, whatever. For every year that you're with us, like this is almost free, because we will give you every year's worth of that dollar amount off of the price of your new system when it's time to get one. So like, things like that, I feel like, well, if I'm a homeowner and let's say it was $200 a year and I was in contract now for 10 years and now that's $2,000 that I have paid to this company. Why would I want to call someone else? Because I'm getting $2,000 off the price of the system. And I know they do good work. They've been in my house now at least 20 times, twice a year over the last 10 years. Like, I think people got to start getting a little more creative. But what I want to encourage people is stop looking at how am I always going to be paying, or how am I always going to be getting a new customer? Every day I want this amount of new customers. Like that you're paying another platform for them, whether it's Google or Yelp or Angie's List or TikTok, whatever. Like, I really want people to start realizing that there's a place to just let customers be coming to you. But that's why, like, anybody that's over the age of pretty much 3 years old, if you ride them past a McDonald's, they may not be able to talk yet, but like they know that golden arch, what's there? Like, it's got chicken nuggets and hamburgers or whatever. And like anybody past the age of probably 10, if you ride past a Starbucks, they know they don't drink coffee, but they know that that's a coffee place. Like there's reasons, but there's companies that have these super strong brands that like we don't even understand the power behind them. And like, I think on a local market, your HVAC or your plumbing company could do the same exact thing.
Hey there, are you a home service business owner that's tired of your answering service just kicking the can down the road? Well, we can help. Pink Collars will assign a dedicated, supported, and trained individual to answer your phones, emails, texts, and even more. Give us a call at 888-325-7465, or better yet, check us out online,
powerfully I've ever heard the idea of membership clubs really explained. So I appreciate you going into that. I think it's almost like the continuity between brand and membership clubs. It actually like is all one continuum. You know what I mean? Like you own that customer as soon as you get in their brain, but you really own that customer from a private equity standpoint once you get them on your membership. I think I want to ask you two final questions here, rapid fire, like you did to me on your podcast. Everyone go watch that one if you haven't. Jonathan really, we asked some provocative questions. I don't even know if I should have said half the stuff I said on his podcast. So perfect. Go watch that one. And the first question is, it's basically a series called Hot Takes and Cold Trends. What's something that you think is provocative stance on the industry that maybe a lot of people would disagree with, but you firmly believe?
That I think there's a place where, sex sells in every industry. And so I know there's been, these like, in the roofing space, where they do like, oh, hell no, like these things where they're playing off of the word hail for hell. Well, in the HVAC, it's been like your wife is hot, so billboards and things like that. So it's like picture of some girl in a G-string bikini and it's like your wife's hot, you better get your air conditioning fixed. Well, there's some people that love it and some people that hate it, think it's so disgusting. But at the end of the day, like I think you have to know your audience. And I feel like the people that were born or let's say raised throughout the 60s, 70s and 80s or they're older now, right? And it's like that's not most people, that's not their target audience. Most people target audience today were actually growing up as teenagers and stuff in the 90s and even 2000s now. And so like that stuff is not too provocative. And I think you can be classy about it in a certain way. Like I saw an ad recently, and maybe you've seen it. It was from Ashton Martin. Have you seen that one?
I haven't.
And it was from Ashton Martin's pre-owned department. It was from Ashton Martin. And dude, there's this woman that she's got legs that go up for miles, and she's standing there in this thong, and she's in like this kitchen, and it said something along the lines of like, she's like been with other people or whatever, but you don't even care, right? And so it was like this play of like the Ashton Martin being so nice, like, it's used, but it's still worth getting.
It's even like I would say, like just to kind of compliment that, I was with one of my clients who's at a TV station. He was doing a little segment with them, and I was kind of coaching him, and his executive assistant and some women from the station were there talking about like, what's that show on Netflix that's really provocative, but it's mostly for women? It's like, it's a British show, provocative. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're talking about.
But that show, they're talking Bridgerton. They're talking about Bridgerton. I had to Google it real quick.
Okay.
They're talking about Bridgerton, and they were like talking about how hot these guys are, or whatever. It's like, there's respectfully, it goes both ways. People like it, and there's a certain amount of like from, like you said, 30s to 40s where they're used to this. You're not like, and ultimately there is a little bit of shock advertising opportunity. We talk about like if you shock them a little bit. I think you have to kind of, I would say, I said say something people would disagree with, right?
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
I would say keep it light. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that all the time. You don't. I believe. I don't know if you want to make your brand completely on shock advertising. I feel like it's something to like dash here and there and kind of like occasionally hit because it will grab their attention. But also know that you might get some kind of there's some kind of backlash occasionally.
I mean, I think you got to figure out who are the people that are buying from you. Like in your different markets and different businesses are going to sell to different people. Like in your case, you said your wife did the whole transaction. I think in this industry, they do say like the wife makes a lot of decisions when it comes to the home and appliances and things like that. So like then go the opposite way, right? Like you don't want the girl in the bikini, like get the
Yeah.
honky dude, right?
Yeah.
You know,
So, all right, let's do the second one, which is cold trends.
okay.
Cold trends. What's something you think people are wasting time, money, energy, or effort on that they should stop doing?
That's a good one. You know, definitely. Okay, how about this? Business cards. All right,
Oh,
like let's get away from business cards.
yeah.
No one wants them. No one's taking a picture of your card. No one's holding on to it. I had someone arguing the other day. I've
Yeah.
got a whole Rolodex of cards. I'm like, I don't even like. Most people don't know what a Rolodex is. Like I do because I am a little older. But I'm like, you know, your customer today doesn't know what a Rolodex is, and they're not using it. Like
Yeah.
get away from handing out cards. Like try to get your stuff as digital as you can. Like we use these digital.
You know, Andrew Tate, I don't like the guy, but he talks about when he's hitting on women, and
Uh-huh.
and he's like, get them to follow you on Instagram. Like, so he's like, go up to him and say, hey, could I get your Instagram? And I just want to follow, like,
Yeah.
obviously I find it attractive or whatever. So what about things like that with business, like, or if you're trying to make someone's acquaintance, be like, hey, follow me. I mean, you're not trying to like, you know, hook up or something, but you're trying to get them to remember you, and then like you have a connection point. So like, what about more like, hey, follow us on social or connect with me on Facebook or those types of call to actions? And I think that that's my most common one. I usually connect with people on Facebook when I'm doing business. I'm doing business to business stuff, but I think I kind of know what you're going at. I have kind of fancy business cards too, so I shouldn't technically agree with you, but I've
Yeah,
been
but you
doing a lot
should.
of that. Like, dude, it's crazy now with Apple. Like, if you haven't seen this yet, you put two iPhones together and they like breed, and
Uh-huh.
then boom, you got their contact information. You just put the RFIDs
Yeah.
together. It's incredible. Or have a QR code or whatever. I think digital exchange of information. Well, I think I agree with you 100% on
So
this
we
one.
went to we went with this company, One Tap Connect. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I've got their thing. Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm not plugging him for any other reason than I think it's worked for some of our clients. We use it for ours, and it's like if get every like that person who's at their home could have something, a little video or something that's cool, unique
oh
to
yeah,
them. But then everything else, all the social profiles and stuff, are that business, right? And it's like,
yeah,
and if you show the homeowner or do the thing like you were just saying and get it into their phone and then show them where it's at, like, hey, if you need us, anything goes wrong with your system, like, I don't want you going to Google, right? Because at
yeah,
the end of the day, if I've got an ad up there, I'm going to pay for
yeah,
impressions of you seeing my ad. I just want you to go straight to something I put on your phone, and now you've got all my social links
yeah.
or my direct phone numbers, anything like that.
I agree 100%. I have that One Tap Connect thing too. I like it because you can control the experience that they have
Yep.
on their phone. Like it's a little bit like a mini website
Yep.
almost.
Exactly.
But I think what I've realized in practical ways while I'm share them the information. Here it is, and then I grab their phone.
Yes.
I add to contacts, and then I say, remember, Tim. You know what I mean? Like you kind of gotta oversimplify things for
You
people.
do.
Like you're saying, tell them what you want them to do with it. Make sure you're saved in there because sometimes those things aren't exact. And then you also, just because you save your information in somebody's phone doesn't mean they're going to remember where to access it when it's time. So you have to like almost like solidify it. And again, all right, remember, I'm Jonathan with this company, and remember Jonathan HVAC, and I'm in here as Jonathan HVAC or whatever, and you just kind of like you try to push them to remember the
So
name.
look,
I think
everything that you just said, I know we're trying to wrap up here. I'll make it quick. Everything that you just said reminds me of, and I want all the business owners out there that hear this. Like, this is why I'm a big believer. And when you truly want something from your customer, you need to ask for it and you need to make it as personable as you possibly can be. So when it comes to reviews for me, like I love automation just as much as everybody else loves automation, but I feel like there's a time and place to use automation. And I think, almost having a two-step approach by having your review requests go out automated, but also like that one goes out no matter what. But I do feel like if that technician is asking for the review face to face, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was a technician and I go out and I do good work, I'm going to bat like 1,000, because no customer is not going to give me a review if I'm asking them to their face and go, hey, Mrs. Jones, or hey, Mr. Brown, I just sent you the review request. You remember that review request I talked to you about when I first got to your home? Because I'm going to make it like, hey, Tim, what seems to be the problem today? And you're like, I don't know. I woke up. My home's not, it's warm. And okay, cool. Listen, can you show me where the thermostat is and where your system's located? Here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep you informed of the whole step of the process. And listen, Tim, when I get finished today, and I'm going to bring you in with anything that I find or any recommendations or stuff, right? Is that okay with you? Listen, when I get finished today, I'm going to ask you for a review on the service that I'm about to provide for you. Will that be okay? Because this is the way that my supervisors reward me and incentivize me. You're going to say, sure, yeah, sure, whatever. You don't care. You want your house cool. But I'm going to tell you, when they follow back up at the end of that and they say, hey, Tim, here's everything. Here's, just emailed you everything. You're up and running. Look, I want to show you what I did. If you have any issues, like here's, just give me a call here. I just stuck that, that one tap connect on your phone, right? And then I would say, hey, Tim, you remember that review I was talking about? If it's all right with you, I'm going to send it to you right now. Hey, you should just received it. Look, I'd really appreciate that. Like, it's important to me. I'm telling you, I would bat 1,000. No one's not going to give me that if I go do it the right way.
And tell them to mention you by name. Apparently, the percentage goes up if you ask them to mention you specifically.
And I can go look at my clients' reviews that do this. Almost every review, they put the technician's name in there. And it's just a natural thing, because now you've heard like it's important to that person. You want to shine a spotlight on that person. Yeah, it actually helps with Google. Like when the name's mentioned and the specific services, like instead of just saying did great service, like there is an algorithm there that it does help the GMB whenever the review is very lengthy or more detailed with people's names and things that took place. So yeah, this is
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm going to wrap up here because I know we're at the end of our time. Hey, bro, I really appreciate you being on. This was fun. You're a brilliant guy. I'm sure we'll chat more on other industry things, and it's good to know you. I appreciate your time today.
Let's get a picture real quick, Tim, before we jump off. Right? Perfect. I appreciate it, brother.